I knew that we were going to be working in this sterile gray space, this volume. And I didn't want the actors to just sort of come in on the first Monday morning of the shoot and not have any kind of basis for feeling like they were in a rainforest. So we went to Kauai, we went way up in the mountains, and we acted out the scenes.
Relax, Maureen. You're making me nervous.
And we just did behaviors, but trying to kind of stay in character and talking as if they're characters. Sigourney fed on this a great deal. I know Sam and Zoe got a lot out of it.
We didn't know what it was going to be like, and Jim took it further. I thought we were just going to be in our regular clothes, you know, hiking, just to get a physical taste of what it's going to be like to live in a planet and have to rely on anything comfortable. But it was that, but also wearing our costumes. So I was naked for 3 days in Hawaii, up in like the forest, just digging and climbing and muddy, and we're videotaping and we're going through the inside of this jungle.
You're sleeping on my tail.
And I saw this headless rat. And I'm with my bow and I'm in character. The moment I saw this rat, I was just like, immediately I went back to like my New York state of mind. I was like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. And he's like, suck it up. Jim was like, come on, Nick Thierry, suck it up. I'm like, right, okay, Zoe, leave. This is jungle, no TV, no BlackBerry. Let me just do this. So it's been a struggle every day to kind of, undo everything that has been done up until my years.
I just absorbed that place. I absorbed the beauty of the rainforest there. And we did a couple of scenes and we ran around in loincloths, pretending we were the Na'vi and the Avatar. And there's a difference between being out in the real world and then coming into this grey, desolate area and actually trying to have to, remember what it was like in the water. So if you're swimming here, if you're swimming on kind of just a rolling chair, your brain can kind of remember.
We got to rehearse a few of the scenes, and we got to rehearse with physical things because we knew that we were going to be going into a mocap stage, and we weren't going to, you don't know how your foot lands in mud if you're just standing on cement. So your body reacts differently to things once you've actually gone out and done those things.
I was shooting them with an HD camera the entire time, just watching how they moved, how they behaved, how the light played on their faces, the light through the trees, if it was sunny, if it was rainy, if it was cloudy. And a lot of that fed my process, on the visual side for how we would light these scenes later. So it was very, very instructive. But I think the biggest part of it that was valuable was just the kind of kinesthetic sense memory that allowed them to create. What did it smell like? What did it feel like? What did the trail feel like under your feet? Come on! So it was about making it real for the actors. It took us from 2005 to 2007 to get the performance capture system up and running and proven to work in a way that neither diluted nor augmented the actors' performance. And so the actors were convinced going in that what they did on the day that they did a scene was definitive, that that's what their CG character would be seen doing later. Told them, you're not doing a voice part, you're acting your character just as you would if there was a camera there. There just isn't a camera. So you have to think of it as CG makeup.
Let's dance.
I was on a quest for the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail was to be able to reproduce full human emotion in a CG character. And of course, the thing we were afraid of is what people have sometimes called the dead eye effect, describing this strange disconnect that we have sometimes from CG characters. And I knew that Avatar would just fail utterly if we didn't crack this problem. And the idea that I had clung to for a long time was this idea of mounting a camera directly to the actor's head. So we started drawing this up, and Glenn Derry, his little ragtag team of engineers, started looking at how do we keep it light. So we wound up with a tight-fitting carbon fiber helmet that was molded to the actor's head.
So we've got this very wide-angle sort of data lens that's here on their face, but we have to be able to see the entire performance of the talent.
So we would shoot reference cameras of the actors, and these are a critical step in the virtual production process.
It's important to understand that the reference cameras and the virtual camera are two completely different things. The virtual camera shows us what the shot will look like with the CG characters and the world combined, because we can't see the fine nuances of the performance in the virtual camera. The reference cameras are absolutely critical for getting exactly the moment that we want. You got 5 takes. They're all going to be good because they're good actors, but there's going to be 1 take that's special, or maybe special for a moment. We need to know that. That's what the reference cameras are for. And then the animators take the reference footage, and they use it to make sure that they're not making a mistake.
Let me know when you're ready, Dave. I'd like to introduce some performers into the volume, please.
I had to take everything I learned in training and apply it to my first day. I had to ride a horse, jump off of him, appearing to be as graceful as possible, land, move like a Navi, and from that first moment when they set that horse and they let that thing go, instantly, Sute just jumped in my body and Laz went somewhere else.
What's happening?
You've got to swim pretty quickly, otherwise you're going to drown in there. And Jim makes you comfortable. You dive in, and it doesn't take you long to get rid of all the technical aspects.
I need your help.
You should not be here.
It's liberating. It's just you and the other person. Yeah, they've got dots on their face and a helmet cam and power packs, but you can still see their eyes. And it takes acting back to what it should be, which is trying to get something from the other person and vice versa.
I trusted you.
Trust me now, please.
What I can say is that every day I would go to work the same way I went to work for Star Trek or other movies that I've done before, and there was nothing different about what I was doing. Just the prep work, as opposed to going through hair and makeup. I went through dots, and then all of a sudden I was on the set, and I was playing Neytiri. Jim says action. I don't know what happens. I, at least, have no idea that I'm wearing this. I feel like I'm blue and I'm 9 feet tall, and I'm as sexy as hell. Like, I just totally forget.
Actors have said to me, you know, sort of half-jokingly but a little nervously, so what, are you trying to replace actors? And of course the answer is no. We love actors. This whole thing is about acting, and it's about creating these fantasy characters through the process of acting. What we're replacing is 5 hours in the makeup chair, having rubber glued all over your face. So I think the actors found it very collaborative, empowering, freeing. And I think it was just plain fun.
It's kind of fun.
There's been a lot of discussion about performance capture and what it means for actors and the impact it'll have. To me, it completely expands what we're capable of doing. And I think digital prosthetics is an interesting way of looking at it.
Grace?
Well, who'd you expect, numbnuts?
Ultimately, I felt that it totally expanded what the actor could do. I feel like I could play any age character, any species, anything. I could play an alien now. I think it actually kind of gives us wings.
And action. We use that sandbox. We use that spatial environment to do everything. It's where we created the sets. It's where we blocked the scenes. It's where we It's where we did all the stunt work. I mean, we had horses galloping around this place. We did everything in the volume. We came up with a number of methodologies for shooting some of these big aerial scenes. Start by, first of all, figuring out what the aerial choreography would be. So we thought, well, if we're going to talk about it, why don't we act it out in the volume? So we made little wire models of the various creatures and aircraft, put markers on them so the system would recognize them, and then we just go out there and fly them around.
Basically chasing each other, like kids playing with two toys. This was a very, very instant way to do it. We could block it very quickly, understand whether or not the overall performance worked before we ever even gave it to an animator and said, now that has to be legitimized.
The performance capture system would record the motion that Jim was getting. Those flight paths were then used to animate the Banshees against, the Samsons against, the Dragon against.
The integration of animation was another headache, you know? In and of itself, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but we had to take it through phases and work out a pipeline. So what we would have is either a puppeteered version where myself and Jim doing flight paths, or we'd have creature performers.
Oh, shut up and fly straight!
We really found that flying the Banshee was the hardest problem. So we created a manually operated gimbal rig that they could balance on, and we'd ask the actors to perform to the timing and movement of the flight path. So if their Banshee banked to the right, the rider had to do the opposite to maintain a center of gravity.
Bang. Level. Flare. Flap. 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 Jump.
And when you see them flying these things, they're working hard. And they used to be just absolute agony the day after a flight scene.
The biggest set pieces for the stunt department really have been this thing that we call the beanstalk. Jim wanted the actual beanstalk to be created. So these people actually had to climb it as if we were climbing it on a cliff. Climb up there and then get around to the left side. Come on, climb up. and then climb right around to the left side right away. And so we put them on wires, and we put 2 sandbags, which would take about 40 pounds off the person. They can climb it a little bit faster than they normally would.
You need to build all of these physical cues for the actors and for Jim to work with so that the digital world starts to take on the character of the real world.
Stop! That's how you wrestle a banshee.
We would have to build layouts, which were the physical interactive set pieces, so that if you saw the Na'vi climbing a mountain, we had to create, let's say, a 20-degree grade. If they were climbing a vine, we dropped ropes down and you'd see them climbing a vine, so it was all very interactive, yet there was no environment there. There was no jungle.
And we can be very improvisational because we're not bound by the set.
There's nothing on the set. It's a gray set. But the difference is that a big boulder would take an hour and a half with a bulldozer and crew to move it. In our world, it literally takes a second. We select it and move it. And if he says it's too big, we scale it down.
Everything in our environments is modular.
Okay, bring the camera around.
Any plant, any mountain, any exotic alien life form can be completely moved and configured and sized and scaled with a push of a button.
The thing that's amazing about it is that we don't wait for lights. Things that you normally wait for on a film set have been switched over to computers and to digital this and digital that.
If I want to whistle up a tree or a mountain or anything, I can do it very quickly. And there were often times when we'd come in to work a scene on a given day, and we'd get some ideas, and we'd run with that.
He likes actors, which is really helpful, particularly for something like this where you're not seeing the physical set. It's really important to have the kind of director who can lead you and let you know what's happening, and then you can react to that. His detail is spectacular, so he can create the picture for you that you're not seeing.
We would create very rough animation in the virtual production stage for our creatures.
It's a territorial threat display. Do not run, or he'll charge.
So what do I do? Dance with it?
Jim would be there with a pole and going after Sam, and he'd be representing the hammerhead.
We did an animation pass on that just to figure out what we wanted this creature to be. Jim shot Sam doing Jake's reaction.
What about this one? Run, don't run, what?
Jim could play back that animation on stage as if the creature were there, because in his camera, he would see it, so it becomes just another performer.
So if I have a good overlap, then I can play them and get them into their position. Yeah, of course.
So he could direct Sam how to play off of that, because, again, in the virtual world, it's all there for him.
Run! Definitely run!
We thought we learned everything in the first year of research and development, because we had done a test and based all of our reasoning on a scene with only 2 people in it. We hadn't done a scene with 10 people or 100 people in it, and those represented more difficulties in virtual production.
If we got past 5 characters, it would create a problem just capturing the motion. Never mind getting them to run with fully fledged sets and lighting. We just hit a ceiling, man. We taxed the hardware to the max, and the software at that point was untested. It was not built for what we were trying to do. So every time we pushed, it crashed.
No save. No save. Let's go again, please.
Here's an example of a scene that almost broke the system.
Made of a lot of different elements. You can see there are horses, different performances of the principals and the crowds that were on the side. They were all combined together in one shot.
And we're selecting specific actions and syncing them all up so that they all play relative to whatever's happening. This is like reinventing the wheel. It was really challenging, I have to say. I've never been so challenged on anything.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joblo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.